no idea. It always works when you test it. Oh, no one wants that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants me to sing. Let's give Sally a round of applause for that. Okay. So today's song is from Margaret Filkins. Margaret is a co-chair of the Ways and Means Committee, and she is with Camp Primetime. Her song choice is Calypso by John Denver. Margaret says she chose this song because it touches so many parts of her life. As a child, her and her sister watched The Undersea World of Jacques Cousteau every Sunday night at her grandparents' home. I did as well. The song crosses multiple music genres, so at any age, Margaret and her friends have always been able to belt it out as they sway back and forth as if actually on the boat. She says when her and Scott had children, the song was a staple on the playlist in their trailer, especially when they were going boating. The lyrics tell us to sail on a dream, ride on the crest, work in the service, search for answers, be part of the movement, and to understand. How can you not be inspired by these directives? Thank you, Margaret, for sharing your song. I don't know what just happened. I dropped something. Okay, our greeter today was Kayleen Stiles, and Kayleen is a co-chair of the Greeters Committee, and she's with the United Way. Thank you, Kayleen. And now, for a little bit of inspiration, I'd like to invite up Kurt Laberton. Kurt is a Hall of Famer, being past president in 2016 and 2017. Kurt.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. As it turns out, I would be seated with you if I could, because the big event in our life 2.5 weeks ago was a hip replacement for me, which I am proud to endorse Dr. Green for all the great things he did for me. So that's my story as this morning. So I'd like to ask a question about that ties into the hip thing. That was a moment of inspiration for us, perhaps. Who all in this room is younger than 57 years of age? Other than me, yeah. Good, perfect, great. So I was blessed during the recovery from this, the first couple of weeks of this, by calls from John Atkinson and Craig and Jan Mendenhall were great, and so many people checked in with us, and Marit Makita gave us a buzz, all that kind of thing, which has been absolutely wonderful. As returning, as we know, that would be the case. But beyond that, we had the advantage of having our two daughters here, and for the last week or so, a couple from Kansas that came to see us, who were there because our friendship goes back 57 years. We met the first day of college at Navy and have been friends ever since. Through that, we've had marriages and illnesses and job changes and grad school and babies and weddings and everything else you can imagine that happens over 57 years. And when, after 57 years, your best friend says he and his wife are going to come out and they won't hear no for it, and they're going to come help you get through waddling around the house with the walker for a while, you know you're a very fortunate individual. The point being that friendship is something that takes a long time to nurture, develop, and eventually reach a point where you are harvesting wonderful results again and again and again. So for those of you who are less than 57, and you have somebody you met either a week ago or in college or on your first job and you've kept in touch since, don't ever give up on those. If Dave was here today, they couldn't make it after all their nursing of us, but he would say, you've got to pretend these things, obviously, like everything great in life. So maybe think of this moment of inspiration today as a chance to go back and make a phone call you meant to make a month and a half ago and didn't. Send a postcard. Take a photo in the kitchen with a glass of wine and say you're toasting the stuff we did junior year at UW or WSU, wherever it is. Because eventually it just gets better and better and better. And if you need a hip, you know where you can go. Thank you.
Love that. Thank you, Kurt. Okay, I'd like to welcome our guests. So if you are a guest with us today, if you could please stand. Now I've got 2 tables up front that should be standing. Anyone else, please stand. So we want to thank you for being our guest today. You can go ahead and take a seat and keep eating. For those of you that don't know me, I am Sherry Bissell, and I am very proud to be the 107th president of this Rotary Club, the original Rotary Club, the OG in Yakima. We were chartered in 1919. We happen to be the 22nd largest club in the U.S. and the 37th largest club in the world. But more importantly, we are a team. We are a team that unites for good. And every Thursday we gather in this room for our weekly meeting, and we leave any judgment or differences outside the doors, and we come together and we unite as a team to do good and be good in this community and beyond. So we invite anyone to be on that team with us. So if you are interested in Rotary, you can pick up the little blue card on the table or talk to any one of us, and we would be honored to draft you in a minute. I have one quick announcement. We do have a full slate today, as I said. We are having a historical perspective event next Wednesday, the 13th, starting at 5 p.m. At the Sikh Temple in Terrace Heights. They will be sharing about their community, their temple, their faith, the work they do. There is a sheet on the table to RSVP for that. There might be food involved, is what we're hearing. They might be feeding us as well. So we just kind of want to give them a number if needed. So please come out and see what that is all about. And now, speaking of draft, to introduce our 18th new member for this year, I would like to invite up Tammy Hanlon. Tammy is with Benton County. Tammy.
Good afternoon. So I met Corey Burke about 6 years ago looking for a house, and she showed me a lot of houses. In fact, I thought she was going to give up on me, but we became friends, and it's my honor and privilege today to introduce Corey Burke. Corey grew up in a small town in Cowlitz County. She went to Western Washington on a theater scholarship, and then she transferred to Minot State University in North Dakota, where she married her husband, Josh, who was in the Air Force. After graduation, she worked in business development and consulting in the Midwest, but decided to come back to Washington in 2018. She then got her real estate license, which is something she always wanted to do. And she's been an agent now, a solo agent currently with Keller Williams for 8 years. She enjoys educating her clients and prides herself in being a great communicator and a problem solver who works well in stressful situations. And I can attest to that. Because I decided to build my home instead of buy one, and she was absolutely fantastic. Corey is also passionate about cooking, and as she states, her husband grows it and she cooks it. And if you follow her on social media, you'll see lots of wonderful pictures of all the dishes, and she really does enjoy cooking. She also follows true crime podcasts, so I told her make sure to talk to Amy Mabe. And her husband, Josh, have 2 fur babies, a Corgi and a Corgi Aussie mix, one named Ripley from the Alien films and the other one named Mulder from one of my shows, The X-Files in the 90s. Corey is going to make a great Rotarian because she's already active in the community and she enjoys volunteering. She was a member of Rotaract and New Leaders, and she now volunteers at the Warehouse Theater, where she is currently their president. And at the theater, she's done it all, directing, acting, and producing. And I'm now also a season member. And by the way, because I have the stage, I'm going to plug her show right now, which is The Importance of Becoming Earnest, which runs through May 16th. And when she's not selling homes or at the theater, she's also busy with sports. She plays pickleball, volleyball, and softball, and she does that year round. But now she has something else to add to her mix, and that's being a Rotarian. So please welcome my friend Corey Burke to Rotary.
Okay, I have some goodies. I think we owe Tammy a sponsorship pin, correct? Yes. We owe you a sponsorship pin. Don't let me forget. And Corey, for you, we have the red rookie badge. We have the team playbook. We have the wonderful plaque for your wall and the infamous license plate cover, which means you have to watch the way you drive now because you're representing Rotary. Welcome to the team.
Sure.
It's number 18 of this year for new members. Okay, so for a Jobs for Youth announcement, I will bring up one of the co-chairs of the Youth Service Committee, Drew Harris. Drew is with John L. Scott Real Estate. Drew.
All right, good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. So just a quick update for Jobs for Youth. That's this month, May 27th. You'll find a volunteer sheet on your table for a sign up if you're interested. Those are 2-hour blocks. Currently, we have about 200 kids signed up with more expected. And we have about 35 sponsorships so far. So we need a little bit more work, but we are doing a little bit better than last year at this point, but we're hoping to make a big push between now and the actual event. So if you guys are interested in sponsorships or volunteering and have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or check out the link online. But again, there is a volunteer sheet on your table for those of you who like to sponsor, or for those of you that would like to volunteer the day of doing mock interviews at the event. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me afterwards if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. And now we have a special award. And for that, I would like to bring up John Atkinson. He is also a Hall of Famer, being past president in 2014, 2015. John.
I have the opportunity to award the Bud Applegate Paul Harris Award for this year. Bud Applegate was a longtime Rotarian who was my neighbor growing up. It's the first time I ever saw a color TV set was in his living room watching the Rose Parade. He established a fund in 1982 where the proceeds were used to award a Paul Harris Fellowship annually to a deserving Rotarian. The Rotarian would be chosen based on his good works to Yakima and to the Yakima Downtown Rotary Club, and also to his applying himself to the 4-way test of Rotary. Our honoree is Rick Fairbrook. Rick has had outstanding contributions to the community and to the Yakima Downtown Rotary Club. He has always been community-minded. He graduated 1 year behind me at Eisenhower High School, and we participated together in Eisenhower athletic teams. I've known Rick for his entire life. I can tell you this is a real privilege for me to honor him today. He's the son of a Rotary past president, John Fairbrook, who was our 63rd president, and as Rick, a true gentleman. Rick has been part of the Yakima Downtown Rotary Club since his youth. He was a Rotary High School exchange student to Revelstoke, British Columbia. He's been a member of the Yakima Downtown Club since 1982. He is the father of a former Rotary exchange student, Sarah Fairbrook, who spent a year in France with the Rotary Exchange. Rick has had multiple committee chair positions as well as being a Rotary, time's up, as well as being a Rotary board member. And as many of you remember, he was a fantastic Rotary president during the 2022-2023 interval for Rotary. He shared that he dutifully went to Houston, Texas for the international meeting the year of his presidency and came back with COVID, hopefully a unique opportunity for our president and not to be repeated. His Rotary year involved the installation of outdoor lighting at the Chesterley Skateboard Park, Kiwanis basketball courts, and skateboard features, as well as Randall Park basketball courts. I would like to highlight the incredible diligence and consistency that Rick has provided in coordinating the Rotary Salvation Army bell ringing campaign, which he has done for some 25 years, raising up to $15,000 a year. That job is time consuming, and I know that it's sometimes very difficult with many, many people involved. He handled it with grace and tremendous consistency. He remains on the Yakima Salvation Army board as well as the board of the Association of Community Living. Rick is a wonderful gentleman and deserves the Bud Applegate Paul Harris Award for his outstanding contributions to Yakima and to the Yakima Downtown Rotary. Congratulations, Rick.
I was told I have to be quick, so I will be. First of all, John Adkison, as he's noted, we've known each other for a long time. We did play on the same football team. And in my career at Eisenhower, the hardest hit I ever received was from this guy right here. He put me out of the game for a few plays, but I'll never forget that, this guy. The reason I think I have this today is because of all of you. I just want to thank every one of you who has stepped up, taken a 2-hour shift at a red kettle, ringing a bell. Maybe you're outfitted in Christmas attire. Maybe it's your business suit and you just came from work. You got 2 hours, you left. I wouldn't be getting this if you weren't right there behind me. And one of the things I enjoy most about it is I get to call you every morning before the shifts and have that little conversation with the new members, old members, and it's a great joy, and proud of the Rotary Club and your participation in raising these funds, because they are really important to the Salvation Army in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, John, and congrats, Rick. So very well deserved. Okay, so now we have another special recognition. So for that, I would like to bring up Mr. Trevor Green. He is a Rotarian in our club, of course, but he is also with the Yakima School District, and we're going to do a little bit of celebrating right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is a special day. You notice we have quite a few guests to my left here. But in hearing Rick talk about, hearing the history of Rick, I know that Sarah, mentioned Sarah, his daughter, was in my Spanish class when I started teaching at Wilson. Yakima means so much to me, and I was such a good Spanish teacher that she went on a French exchange, I now found out. So that's wonderful. So similarly, I did play basketball at Davis High School, and what I lacked in height, I made up for by being slow. And I think over the several decades, maybe the district has decided to invest a little bit more, and we have some excellent coaches, a phenomenal athletic director, and it's my pleasure and my privilege to recognize and celebrate one of the premier high school athletic programs in the state of Washington. They are back-to-back state champion, Yakima School District's Davis High School girls basketball team. Now hold your applause. I'm going to ask them to come up. I should say hold your standing ovation. But would you please come up and join me on the stage here? I'd feel more comfortable if you're all up here surrounding me for a moment. As they come up, I'll share a little bit about what they've accomplished, which is truly extraordinary. They've won, not winning one state championship is extraordinary. It's amazing. Winning 2 in a row is rare, but building the championship culture that we now see at Davis High School with the girls basketball program is something that's truly special. This season, the Davis Pirates proved once again that they are the standard for girls basketball in the state of Washington. With determination, discipline, teamwork, relentless effort, they captured their second consecutive WIAA state championship and cemented their place in the history of Davis High School. But what makes this team remarkable is really not the trophies or the banners, it's the way that they represent our community. They compete with toughness, with pride, but also demonstrate humility. They demonstrate sportsmanship and pride in their school and community. And they become role models for our entire district in the way that they present themselves and the younger students in the Valley. And they show what greatness can come through hard work and effort. We all know that championship teams are not built overnight. And they are built in the early morning workouts that take place. They're built in practices where nobody's watching. They are built through accountability, trust, sacrifice, and perseverance. And this program, the ladies behind me clearly demonstrate all of these components. I also want to recognize to my left the leadership behind the success. Head coach Akil White and the coaching staff. Our athletic director is here as well. They built a culture of excellence. They bleed black and orange, which is phenomenal for Pirates. They built just this culture of excellence that now represents our entire community. They've helped develop not only elite athletes, but they've also developed confident young women who are going forward, and they'll have success long after basketball ends. To the players behind me, I would just like to share that you have inspired our community. Young athletes around the Yakima Valley now look at our Davis girls basketball team to see what is possible through dedication and teamwork. And whether you realize it or not, you are leaders and role models, and you have brought tremendous pride to all of Yakima. And you have represented your school with class, and you have created a legacy that future Davis teams will aspire to follow. So back-to-back state championships is an achievement that few programs ever reach. They have earned it. You have earned it. You deserve it. And today we honor and celebrate you. Rotary's proud of you. Yakima's proud of you. And your Pirate legacy is only getting stronger. Please join me in congratulating our Davis Pirate girls basketball team. Yeah.
Done. I just want to say real quick that I'm a Davis Pirate. And I just graduated a few years ago. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I'm proud of it. It was 1982. So I know y'all, that was a long time ago, but congratulations. We are very proud of you. Keep it going. Good job. You can go ahead whichever way. Whichever way. So I know that the girls need to get back to school. I heard there's a track meet or something going on as well that they're going to have to leave for shortly. So I just wanted to say congratulations again really quick, and good luck at the track meet for those of you that are in the track meet. So once a pirate, always a pirate, just saying. Okay. It is time for our speaker. We're going to skip over Sergeant at Arms due to time. And I have the honor of introducing our speaker today. That is Mr. Jeff Scott. Jeff and his wife, Sue Price Scott, live in Yakima. They are both past presidents of Sunrise Rotary, where they met. In the 18 years of Rotary service, Jeff has been involved in allocations, community service programs, fundraising, Sergeant at Arms, and Youth Exchange. He is currently the Youth Exchange Officer for Southwest Rotary and the RILA Chair for our district, 5060. He had 22 years with Ace Hardware. He was responsible for the new distribution center in Moxie. After failing at early retirement in 2016, he started his fourth career in manufacturing at Quick Lock as the COO, and Jeff now has the title COO Emeritus at Quick Lock. He's also active in the community beyond Rotary, always an avid learner. He is now in his fifth career, the recent past chair of the board at Comprehensive Healthcare, a community-based behavioral healthcare organization. This organization provides a continuum of services for mental illness, health, substance use disorder, or SUD, and is now working toward a more holistic approach with a strategy for certified community behavioral health clinic addressing SUD, mental health, physical health, and social health. So please help me in giving a warm downtown Rotary welcome to Jeff Scott.
Thank you, President Sherry. This is a passion of mine, and I would be surprised if there was anybody in this room that hasn't experienced or witnessed mental health, whether it's yourself, it's your family, it's your friends, people you know, people you work with. I would be really surprised. But what I want to talk today is about destigmatizing not mental health, but mental illness. Because mental illness is the issue. Mental health is a solution. We'll get into a few stats here. 1 in 5 U.S. adults experience mental illness each year. And in the state of Washington, 1 in 6 are dealing with mental health. 38% of veterans have a mental health on their record. What's interesting, my son, older son, is responsible for security clearances with the Air Force. In today's military, that does not preclude you from advancement. That does not preclude you from a security clearance. They too have evolved and take care of their military personnel, making sure they have the resources. 30%, up to 30% of first responders are dealing with PTSD or depression. And again, the first responders have come a long ways over the past 2-3 decades. You know, 30 years ago, if you witnessed something horrific, next day you were told to suck it up, buttercup, and get back out there. Today, they really focus on providing that help, those resources. This is one that I think we all should be alarmed about, and that is the Gen Zs, those that were born after 95, I'm sure are Davis athletes. There's a book by Jonathan Haidt called The Anxious Generation. And what Jonathan did is he did a lot of research. And since 2010, there's been this wicked acceleration of depression and anxiety with teenagers. 150% with teenage girls and 161% with teenage boys. And it's even worse for preteen girls. And this book takes all that data and it boils it down to, I think I left it on the phone, or my phone on the table there, but he goes back to 2010, and what happened in 2010? Smartphones. What else happened? Social media. And he makes a direct correlation to that. And he actually provides a good solution. So I'm going to tell you, whether you have kids and grandkids or don't, The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt is a must-read. It really helps you to understand what is behind that acceleration of depression and anxiety. Stigma. Why is there stigma? You know, the biggest thing is the stigma that exists is those dealing with mental illness or even SUD. It's how they perceive others are going to judge them. And that is huge. That is what keeps some from seeking help. So I'm going to tell you about David's story. David's my younger son. He joined the Marines. I teased him frequently that math was never his best subject. The other branches of the military, basic training is 8 weeks, the Marines is 13. And so we've had fun with that over the years, but you know, he joined the Marines. When he found out what the graduation date was going to be, I made my airline reservations, got down to San Diego, and lo and behold, he's not going to be able to graduate. He was still pumped up. I mean, he was telling me about his experience in basic training, but he developed a stress fracture in his femur and got assigned to a medical unit until that healed. So for 11 weeks, he had bonded and sweated with these other Marine candidates. And now he's assigned to a medical unit. So They made him part of their graduation. He was still on cloud 9 talking about the experience and just beyond himself. So he eventually healed. He got put into another unit in their last 2 weeks of training. The bond wasn't there. I mean, he only spent 2 weeks with them. And then they graduated. They went to advanced training in Camp Pendleton. Not long after that, I get a phone call at work, and his mother called me and said, "Has David called you?" And I'm like, "No, why?" She says, "Well, the base commander called me and said he's gone AWOL." And I'm going, "Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. I just saw him. And he was on cloud 9. So I hung up, got the base commander's name and number, and I hung up, and I'm like, okay, he hasn't called. Maybe he's going to come see me. So I said he can't fly because he doesn't have travel orders, but he could take a train to Seattle, but he'd have to take Greyhound, which means he'll be here tomorrow night at 5:30. Or depending on when he left the base, he could take Greyhound the whole way and be here at 5:30 tomorrow night. So Friday evening, I'm sitting at the Greyhound terminal, and the bus pulls in, and the first person off is David. I had my window rolled down. I'm like, and he turned around and he goes, "How'd you know I was going to be here?" I said, "I'm the dad. We know everything." So I said, "Get in." So got in the truck. We started heading for the house, and I said, "What's up?" And he goes, "You remember that promise I made you?" That was a gut punch. When each of my boys joined the military, I asked them if they would promise me that if they ever even remotely considered suicide, would they come please talk to me first. So that took the wind out of my sails. We spent the weekend talking. The gist of it, the short story is, he had a drill instructor who was, I'll use nice words and call him just a hillbilly. There's other words I'd like to use. But he saw that David had been assigned to a medical unit and assumed that David was one of those that had a change of heart and wanted to get out of the Marines. And he took a lot of different actions to try to drive David out of the Marines. And one that I'll share with you, I won't share the rest of them. One was he placed David's cot in the middle of the barracks away from everybody else, and he had a Marine on each 4 corners, and every time David closed his eyes, they kicked the cot. Sleep deprivation. There was a number of things that took place. And so as I learned this, I'm horrified. But I also know that he's got to go back. And I can tell you as a parent, that was probably the hardest thing, is convincing him he had to go back. And so Monday morning, I got the base commander on the phone, shared with him what I had learned. He was rather shocked. And I said, my son knows he has to come back, but how do we make sure he comes back to a safe environment? And so he laid out a pretty good plan. And I will say the commander was a man of his word. David got assigned to a different squad. He graduates, goes on to many other duties in the Marines. Cool. Well, he gets out of the Marines. I think he was in the Marines about 12 years. He gets out of the Marines. And one night I get a phone call from my oldest son. He said, "Dad, David just checked himself into the VA, and you probably want to talk to him." And so he's living in Wisconsin, and, you know, by the grace of God, his sister-in-law was with him. She's a nurse, and he was in a very, very dark spot. A very dark spot. He had quit seeing a counselor, quit taking his medication, started self-medicating, and he was just in a very dark spot. So we talked, and we talked frequently. And I told him, I says, "You're going to have to tell me if I'm calling you too much or not enough." I says, "I'm pretty thick-skinned and too stupid to insult, so you need to let me know." And so we carried on daily and then weekly conversations. He got stable, and that was great. He became the David that I knew, and he was going along fine. Bought a fixer-up house in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 2 years later, I get a phone call. And the first word out of his mouth, and just the way he said it, "Dad." I knew he was spiraling out of control. And I'm like, "David, we got this. We got this. What's going on?" He said, I can't deal with it. And I said, no, we got this. We got this. What's going on? Well, come to find out, he had the house put on the market. They had 8 inches of rain in about 4 hours. His basement was flooding, and mentally he was paralyzed. He just could not deal with it. And I said, "David, we got this. We got this." I said, "Get 3 pieces of paper. On the first piece of paper, write the word now. And the next one, tomorrow. And the next one later. And he goes, what's tomorrow and later? And I said, we'll talk about that tomorrow. So found out he had gutters, he had downspouts, they're going straight down. That's the problem. So I said, okay, this is real easy. Write on that paper that says now, write down 4 links of downspout, 4 elbows, get them on, divert the water away. Do you have a sump pump? Yeah. Is it working? Yeah. Okay. Do you have a wet dry vac? Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to get on a red-eye flight? I can be there first thing in the morning. He goes, no, I've got this. And I says, okay, but if that changes, will you call me? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay. So the next day I'm talking to him and we're going through how to clean up everything. And then all of a sudden he goes, I don't have anything left in my tank. And he's talking about his emotional tank. And I said, well, let's fill it back up. He goes, I don't know how. I says, well, I'm a dad. We know everything. I said, think back 2 years ago. You were in a dark spot. You were in a bad spot. And you had 1 or 2 decisions made, and you made the right decision. I said, in my mind, you're a role model for others. How do you help others make that right decision? Because not everybody does. And that's a shame. It's not shame on them. It's a shame that we lost somebody that we shouldn't have. And he thought about it, and he said, that helps. And I says, is your tank filling up? And he says, yeah. I said, think about it some more, but I just want you to think hard. How do you help others? And so you're getting him to start to focus outward. 2 nights later, he posted an unscripted 20-minute YouTube video on Facebook. And it starts off with, hi, I'm David Scott, and this is the face of depression. And quickly warns anybody that's watching it that if they are dealing with anxiety or depression, this could be a trigger. And then goes on to talk about depression is not the same for everybody. It's different. And then really sums it up really nicely with, and I've got the link, but I'm not going to play it because it's a 20-minute video, but he sums it up with saying, for 13 years, he hid this from the people that loved him, that supports him, and could help him. And went on to say, don't do that. You need not to be ashamed of dealing with depression. You need to ask for help and let those that love you help you. And I told him, I said, you just went from being a role model to a hero. And he lit up Facebook. He had people thanking him because they were in a bad spot. He had people across the globe in the service saying, what can I do to help? We got your back. I mean, it was good. It was very good, very positive. And so, you know, the real point there is, how do we help people get rid of that stigma and not be afraid to ask for help? David today, that's his wife, Samantha, and that's Crystal. They got married in November. She's not Crystal. Samantha was in the Army, and she deals with anxiety, and David deals with depression. He was a Marine. They understand each other. They know each other's trigger points, and they know how to support each other. And yes, Crystal was in the wedding as well. But he's stable. You know, you don't cure depression, but you can stabilize a person and help them get healthy again. So destigmatizing. If somebody shares with you that they're dealing with mental illness, whether it's depression, schizophrenia, anxiety, whatever, first thing you do is you thank them. Thank them for sharing that with you. And then let them know they're not alone. And this next one's important. Don't ask any prying questions. Don't ask them, why did you hide this for 13 years? Now you just put the guilt back on them and they're going to shut down. And then just listen. They will share as much or as little as they feel comfortable. So just listen. And I like to remind people that the word listen and the word silent use the exact same letters. And then dignity, respect, be positive, encouragement. Choose your words carefully. You know, always focus on the positive. You know, mental illness or SUD is just a part of somebody's larger life, role in life. Be compassionate, be patient. I admire the people in the mental health, behavioral health industry at the compassion and respect that they have for their clients. It's just, it boggles my mind. They meet them where they're at. And don't try to advise or diagnose. I didn't do that with David. I'm not a trained specialist. And then educate yourself about mental health issues. And again, The Anxious Generation is a book that I would highly recommend. That's one of my granddaughters. And so when I get together with my granddaughters, I try to carve out one-on-one time with each one. And I let them drive the conversation. So that's 2 Decembers ago. I'm recovering from a knee replacement then. And do you want to guess what my granddaughter wanted to talk about? Her mental health, her depression, and how she's really found a good therapist and she likes that person, how they're helping her balance out through nutrition and through therapy. And she just went on and on and on for 20 minutes. You know what I attribute that to? Their parents. And this is the summary of the whole thing. We need to normalize the conversation when it comes to mental health, mental illness. There should be no shame. There should be no stigma. You know, they normalize the conversation. I've got one granddaughter that deals with anxiety and another one that deals with depression. But they normalize that conversation in that household around the table. So it's no different than me talking about type 2 diabetes or arthritis. And so, you know, I encourage everybody to just normalize the conversation. No judgment. Just get it out there so that people can have a healthy dialogue and people feel comfortable asking for help. So it's not easy. A lot of people are still going to be reluctant because they're going to fear how we're going to perceive them. But we need to be welcoming and let them know that we can help. Normalize the conversation as much as you can. Healthy mind, healthy body. And with that, I'm going to thank you for your time this afternoon. If you have any ideas or questions, I'll stick around afterwards. You got time? Okay. You got any questions or even ideas? Because I steal ideas at each one of these. I'm a good thief. Oh, there we go. Jan.
Thank you, Jeff. It's very enlightening, and I'm a testimony that you're never too old to keep learning about mental health.
Yeah.
There are so many people and my family and friends that deal with different issues, depression, anxiety at all levels.
Yeah.
This phone thing you're talking about, how do we combat that? I've got multiple questions I'll ask later, but
Yeah.
let's start with this.
Jonathan does
Is
a great
there
job.
anything we can do so they're not, I mean, it's a go-to at dinner for kids, at wherever you are, they're on their phone,
Yeah.
or they're on a laptop, or they're on a screen of some kind.
Yeah.
How can we change that? I mean,
Yeah.
I can't insult the
Jo-
group at the table and say,
Yeah.
put that away. What'll you do?
Well, Jonathan actually lays out some pretty good guidelines on that. A few of them are, do they really need a phone until they're 16 and they're driving, and now you want them to have a phone in case the car breaks down? But limit what's on that phone. And do they really need a social media account until they're 18? And then as far as the table, he talks about the phones are not at the table. When you sit down for dinner, it's family time. And you do limit your children on how much screen time that they can have. And so he goes through a lot of different steps and ideas. So thanks for that, Jan.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later. I've got about 10 more.
Okay. I may not have all the answers, but I can point you in the right direction. I'll get you second, Dana, and the young man in the back there.
Has there been any discussion, are you aware of, at a state level? The state of Florida implemented an age restriction for social media, and I think that should be a national thing, or at least done in Washington State. I believe it was the age of 16, and I think that is step number one, is starting to treat social media like the drug that it is. Are you aware of any conversations around that, or do you have the bandwidth to start that for us?
I don't know if there is a conversation going on at the state level. I know other countries are going through the same thing. I think Australia just went through something similar. So, and it's wise. I mean, let the kids mature. Let them grow up first. Let them learn how to cope before they get inundated. And I liked what Jonathan said about Gen X. They're the first generation to walk around with a portal in their pocket that takes them away from reality into an artificial universe. That shouldn't happen. We should let them learn how to cope and grow up first before we introduce them to that. But good point. Good point. Dana?
You mentioned in your list of pick your words carefully, which then made me think, what if I mess up? So if I'm going to think I'm going to mess up, I want to be very careful about opening myself up to have a conversation with somebody and then do it wrong.
Always end it with, what can I do to help?
Oh, perfect.
Always end it with, what can I do to help? And again, we're not trained, but we can point him in the right direction. We can point him in the right direction. I can tell you, I experienced anxiety for the first time, and Dr. Ryder knows this. I had developed polymyalgia rheumatica, and to combat that and to condition the body to learn how to fight inflammation again, they put you on a very high dosage of prednisone. And they warned me that one of the side effects is anxiety. And I can tell you, even with that warning, I was scared out of my wits. I knew what was going on, but I tell you, it's not something I wanted to repeat. And then I got thinking about, what if I was homeless and I had to deal with anxiety? What if I had diabetes and I didn't know it and I had to deal with this? I mean, if you had some other co-occurring disorders, physical, mental, whatever, and you dealt with anxiety and depression, I could just see how it would compound and people could spin out of control. I think right there.
Thank you so much for chatting today. It's very nice to hear this conversation happening in these kinds of settings. As a parent to a young child, when do you start broaching the conversations about mental health? It's like we talk a lot about feelings already, but for littler kids, kind of how do you start those conversations before they're experiencing symptoms?
Yeah, good question. I think with I'm going to rely on my oldest son and their 4 daughters and his wife. Hannah had anxiety since she was a baby, the oldest one. I mean, I can remember visiting. I'd go into the restroom, and the next thing you know, there's these little fingers under the door, and she's wailing because I'm behind this door and she can't see me. I think when they recognized it and started getting her therapy and treatment, they started talking about it in a normal way. If nobody's suffering it in your family, when do you start? That's a good question. I don't know. I think when you see a situation or hear of a situation and you can share it and normalize the conversation in that regard, or if they come home and they said so-and-so at schools and they start making fun of them, there's your cue, I guess. Yes, sir.
What's your stance on medication? In your bio, it mentioned more holistic approach, and with the mention of phones and social medias and stuff like that, I think there's a huge reduction in getting outside and getting exercise. And so I personally share a lot of parallels with David's story as well. So I have a pretty opinionated kind of stance on medication and other options that help. So what's your stance on other alternatives other than medication versus when it's appropriate, or how to approach that?
I'm going to liken the mental health side and medication to diabetes or being overweight. In the fact that medication by itself is not the answer. Medication in addition to the right diet, exercise, being outside, it's a combination of things. And I'm not an expert or a professional, but I can tell you, have been on the board for 8 years and watching people in this community. We've got some in this room that are experts on this, and they do a really good job of finding that balance when they need medication, when they don't. And then it's not medication by itself, it's medication plus the right diet, plus therapy, plus maybe peer group counseling, surrounding yourself with the right people. So yeah, I don't think anybody looks at it in the mental health world as medication's the answer. It's just part of the solution, and not every time.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeff. For
Thank
being
you.
here. Thanks again, Jeff, for being here. Rough topic, has to be talked about, right? Our next couple of meetings, we are here at the Convention Center. Next week, we'll be getting an update on White Pass and their expansion from Ricky Cooper. And then on the 21st, we have our Academic Scholarship Award program, a favorite for sure. So remember, we have something for everyone in this club. And we're not a closed club. The community is invited, as you all know. So bring the people on your team here and share our programs with them. Okay, heart of our club drawing. Get out your white ticket. Last week, after sales last week, we had $3,125 in the pot, people. So whatever was added to it this week, more than likely, will probably the split. I'll draw a ticket. If I draw your ticket, you get to draw a card from the deck. Who has the deck? Margaret, right there in the middle of the room. If you draw the joker, you get half the pot, which will probably be, should be maybe $1,800, almost $1,800. I don't know how many we sold today, so. Oh, we sold a lot today. There's a lot of tickets in here. I didn't look earlier. All right, you ready, y'all? Here we go. 0, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3. People are throwing their tickets down. Come on. Zeb. Sherry! Okay, Margaret's got the cards right there. No offense, Sherry, but everyone's praying you don't draw the joker. I'm just saying. Oh, she's... No. Wow, it just keeps going. This is unbelievable. Okay. Next week, on to more money. Okay. I end our Rotary meetings with what I call my play of the day. And today, very simply, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. So be kind, always, right? I thought this was appropriate for today, of course, with today's topic of mental health and May being Mental Health Awareness Month. But besides that, frankly, just every day, be kind. Right? We do that. Rotarians do that well. We need to always react with compassion, always, instead of judgment. We know that. So being kind's easy to do. So just take that with you today. Congrats again, Rick Fairbrook. Very, very well deserved. Congrats to the Lady Pirates, who they all went back to school like good little students. And welcome, Corey. We are glad to have you on our team. So thank you all for choosing Team Rotary today and being in the game. And with that, this game is over.